I can, but I got these big earphones on, so it's okay.
Okay, well, let me just begin by saying thank you for having me. I know it was a little bit of a struggle. I was supposed to be on Skype, so I really very much appreciate being here because I love what you do, and
Thank you.
I love what I do. So I work for a very special federal program called CapTel, which stands for Captain Telephone, which is a telephone that's specifically designated for hearing loss. And what makes this telephone special is so many things. But the first, of course, they have to say is because it's a federal program, it's entirely no cost. So there's no charge. You may ask, how is that possible? Well, it's something that we all pay for towards in our taxes and have for a very long time. So this program is not going anywhere. That's always a question I get. But I just want to, go over the basics of why I do what I do, which is not only represent CapTel, I speak about it, but I actually go into people's homes with the new phone and we'll set it up for people, it has been a little bit of a hiatus for the last 6 weeks, but we will be resuming doing this again soon. Of course,
Yeah, I go to people's homes too, but for me, a mask just makes me look better. That wouldn't work for you, though.
I don't know. I think you look great with a mask, but that's
Oh, yeah, well, I got an eye doctor for you, too. Now, we're showing a picture of one of your phones with the screen is blue. So.
Okay, great. Well, and so just the fact that you said that, I'll have to say that there are 4 different models of the phone, which is really important to know because the engineers of this phone have really taken into consideration anything that someone with hearing loss may need. Of course, the main bulk of our population is my favorite, is our senior population. But you don't have to be any sort of age in order to use it. So it just has to do with hearing loss. And that being said, it's not even a certain number of hearing loss or decibel level that you have to have lost. It can be any level of hearing loss. And the reason for that is because hearing loss is so subjective and it's so individual. Actually, I'll just share with you. I usually share that I got into this because of my grandfather who has Meniere's disease, which I did.
And that's a good story. I've heard it a few times. I like it. But go ahead.
Thank you. Well, I got a new one for you. But
all right, bring it on.
Most recently, I had a baby about 1.5 years ago. I've always known hearing loss runs in my family because of my grandfather. I've always had a little bit of tinnitus, which most people may know as ringing of the ears. But since having my baby, it's been really, really grossly enlarged to the point where I've even gone to see someone about it. Yeah, so it's something that I recognize now. Ringing of the ears may not seem like it is hearing loss, but it definitely is because...
Well, sure, because it's taking the place of other sound.
Exactly. So I have a lot of trouble hearing my husband, and he doesn't like that. But
now, how about the other way around? That's not.
But it really means something to me, and this telephone provides a huge form of communication, especially, I have to say, during this pandemic. We've never had so many people want and need this phone because they're stuck at home, and it's their only way to communicate with the outside world. I literally could go on and on, but I'm going to try to stay with the basics. So what this phone does is it is an amplified telephone, meaning that it's louder. So it's louder than the average phone, which is good. But as most people who struggle with hearing loss or hearing on the phone know, that loudness doesn't make it better with clarity. So there is a screen on the phone itself, which will write out in captions, much like captions on TV. It captions everything the incoming caller is saying. So, Jay, let's say I called you and, you were saying something to me and I have the CapTel phone. Everything you're saying would come up on the screen. So I would hear you as much as I could, and whatever I couldn't hear, I'd be able to read on the screen. I mean,
And if it's your grandfather, you can all that would be the same. And if it's me, you can turn it way down, right?
I would never. Well, actually, it's funny because I called my grandfather yesterday. So my grandfather was a guinea pig back in 2012, 2011. And by the way, the phone has actually been around longer than that, but it's been a part of a free program, no-cost program since 2012. But I called him yesterday, and I could tell he was not on this phone. And I said, Papa, what are you doing? Go on this phone, because he couldn't hear me, and I knew he couldn't. And most people will, much like myself, you'll pretend that you heard what someone said, but you have no idea what they said. And it's just not okay. It's not okay to live like that for ourselves, even for myself, and I know that. And I also know it gets really frustrating to ask people to repeat themselves, because I do it all the time. So to be able to have the benefit of that volume and those captions is, tremendous. It's tremendous. So that being said as well, how is it free? How do I get it? Well, there is...
Yeah, that's the next thing I was going to say is you got to stop and tell people how to get a hold of you.
Yes. The easiest way to do it is to literally just get a hold of me, like Jay said. You can either call me. If you like to text, that's okay too. It's the same number. You can send me an email. I work with you one-on-one directly, and we will figure out a way to either ship you out the telephone, which is what we're doing right now during the pandemic, until, they're starting to release a lot of things. So I'm guessing that in about a week or so, I'll be able to start doing in-home installations again.
Great,
and
great.
And again, we'll have all of the protective gear, gloves, masks, shields. We'll be standing further apart. But what that allows you to do is know that it's going to get hooked up appropriately for you. And then I leave you with a very special guidebook that goes over what I call the fancy options, which I could get into.
Now, you mentioned to call you, but you didn't say the number, I don't think. Either that or my hearing is bad.
No, you're right. So I'm ready to give that, and I'll do it slowly. It's 310-428-8371. If it's okay, I'll give it one more time. It's 310-428-8371. And again, you can
And
call me.
I do have a second. There's two people that want to talk to you now that I remember, because I do have hearing, but memory is kind of a loss for me. But, and the thing is, I do recommend people that I think are great helpers. And since this costs nothing for anybody, that makes it a lot easier for me to recommend.
Yeah.
Of course. Nobody really gets it. Are you kidding? It's free.
Right.
So,
right. And my answer to that, you told me I could talk as much as I want. Now you're going to regret it. No, I'm just joking.
No. Go on.
No, it's. I hope it's
important.
Yeah, well, I hope it's apparent to everyone that I love what I do, because I really could talk about it forever. But it really is at no cost, completely free. Again, it used to be for cost. A little bit of history. I apologize, as we're all working from home. I have a baby and dog in the background. But history...
I love that, the dog season. Yeah, what kind of dog?
I have a miniature Labradoodle. So he's about 20 pounds, doesn't shed. Yeah. He's a
so he's size overall, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
dogs do
no,
that
it's
to me.
Okay, it's okay. A little bit of history that I think is really important too is that the engineer and the creator of this telephone I actually know, and he was working in the hearing field for a long time and wanted to make a telephone for his friend. So it's kind of neat because he was really doing it out of love for his friend. And the phone used to cost $600. This was in the early 2000s because it wasn't backed by anybody at that time, and it was something brand new. Well, nobody could afford it. And in 2012, we were able to make it as part of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So that's what
right. But even so, $600, that's about 1/5 or 1/6 what a good pair of hearing aids cost.
Correct.
And of course,
Correct.
they have different needs for hearing aids as opposed to just the phone. But I bet there's a lot of gray area hearing where the phone would be plenty.
Definitely. You're absolutely right. And, you know, what you just said actually reminded me of something. So what makes our phone really unique as compared to other telephones is that it is hearing aid compatible. Most phones make this weird screechy sound like when you try to put it next to a hearing aid. And so many people will just put a phone on speakerphone, which is great. But again, this is so much better because it has speakerphone, but it also has this incredible handset that is hearing aid compatible. So it does not make that weird sound. It only provides you with a clarity sound, a clarity volume, voluminous sound. And it also, I do need to make one point clear though, there is one thing people do need to have already in their home in order for the phone to work, and that is internet service. So again, you do have
I haven't found one without that I know of. Even people that don't use computers seem to have internet service, or it's so easy to get. But you know, you don't need to know anything about it, right?
Oh no, I mean,
you don't need to know how to work the internet or how to plug it in or get it connected to your phone or that kind of thing.
And it's not going to increase your bill by anything. It's simply using the service. And, you know, let's say you live with an adult child who has internet. You know there's internet in there somewhere. As long as I'm able to work with that adult child to hook the phone up, that's fine.
Yeah,
you don't even
remember,
need
it's
to know.
us oldies that invent stuff, okay? Let's not forget. Internet, things like that, you know, computers. So it's okay.
This is true, though. That's very true. Are we doing okay on time, or?
I think we're doing okay, right, Sean? We're taking a break after that, or just going straight through? Oh, we need a break. Okay, very good. That means we have a sponsor. So we have a sponsor or two. So go ahead. I think it's most important before we get cut off here to give your contact information one more time, or internet, or, you know, website address, anything you want to give out. Go ahead and do that.
Great. Again, the easiest way is my phone number, which is 310-428-8371. I'm also going to give you my email, even though I know it's difficult over the phone. The email is A like apple, L like lion, L like lion, E like Edward, dot, R, H like Harry, A, M like Mary, E like Edward, S like Sam, at O, E like Edward, I, U, S like Sam.org. So I hope.
And what I'll do is I'll put that in print form, and I'll throw it on the screen for when the video is done, and be on the you know, on my website. It'll be on the KMET site. Well, now that might not be, but it will be on my YouTube channel and all that. But it looks like we've hit that minute, and I really, really appreciate it. And I'd like to have you back again. And remind me to call you before the weekend is over, or later, on those two people that do want to talk to you about getting this. So much. And everybody else should be calling too, because you either should want it, need it, or if you don't need it, you probably know somebody who does need it. So everybody, please take care. Allie, thank you.